Hello, cats and kittens, felines and felidae, humans and variant humans, and every race, class, and subclass. Welcome to another installment of Brainy the RPG Cat. Tonight, I'm going to need to get a little bit of executive work done tonight. I am going to be drawing an image of myself as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Styled character, so that I will be able to use that in my continued Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed art. Well, in my continued Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed streams, particularly the ones I do Wednesday night with Hoff GMG. And, let's give him a shout out right now since I already said his name. Let's see. I think I did that right. No, I didn't. I did not. I think. Yeah, there we are. That's a relatively old clip, which is something that he's always telling me. He's always telling me, why do you play all these old clips? But anyways, he's ramping up a lot when it comes to streams involving Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've been part of his team when it comes to those things. So I'm going to be working on this avatar. I'm going to be giving it to him so he can use it in some of his YouTube display images, but also I'm going to be turning it into a PNG tuber, and I'm going to be using that PNG tuber when I'm going to be online and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So that is going to be fun. That is going to be interesting. Alright, well, at any rate, let's go ahead and let's give out our shout-outs. I don't think it is a secret at the point that, Great Media Games, our sponsor, the Great Half happens to be the president of that, well, Half GMG, and we're partnered with them in order to bring you inexpensive TCG single cards. So use the code 10finity at checkout for when you go to greatmedia.games to get 10% off your online purchase. Tonight's stream is we're also in search of we are in search of podcasters. We're in search of podcasters, actual play podcasters. We want to feature your funniest clips in a compilation podcast called the Actual Play Pod. If you're interested, please send us a private message or send us an email at brainyrpgcat@gmail.com. I spaced on my own email for a moment there. But anyway, that's all of that business. We've got to get to more business. Let's go ahead and head over to our screen so that we can begin working on our upcoming image. So this is basically the image that I'm planning to make into a PNG tuber, and it is basically me, but I'm trying to stylize myself to look a little bit more Yu-Gi-Oh! I've got a hat that is very similar to the one that is worn by Dark Magician, but the difference being is that his is a full hood and mine is just a hat. So, there's some shoulder pads, kind of similar to what you would see from Seto Kaiba, along with the arm straps and the gauntlets as well. Of course, I'm holding a dual disc. I've got a pretty lengthy curly tail, and I've got the long flowing robes that are open on the bottom and the open toes. So these are all the details that we're going to be working on. And so, first thing I have a tendency, probably unlike anybody else who does art, is that I'm not 100% when it comes to digital art. Every time I do my sketches, I do them using pencil, and that's just really convenient for me because I usually do these sketches while I'm at my lunch break at work. And so then, you know, you have to figure out, uh, you know, every time you get a free moment in order to do a sketch. So I'll usually just sketch those on paper. I also just like doing my sketches on a regular number 2 pencil. And while I probably need the practice, I need the practice to get slightly more into um, sketching using a tablet. But that's just something I haven't done. So I think I'm gonna begin with a good old number 2 pen. I don't think I want that one to be tapered. I usually use a tapered pencil when I'm drawing webcomics. So yeah, I'm probably just going to want a slightly more solid pen. And so the eye is probably, you know, the first important element of this, is because this is really what's going to sell it. They always have special kinds of shading when it comes to eyes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Something I haven't necessarily gotten used to. Alright, so I want to make sure that I get that into like a reasonable size oval. Alright. Probably not even following my sketch when it comes to this. Make a better oval than what was in my sketch. Alright. So not even following the line on that one. Not even following the sketch line. Alright. So, you know, getting the eye right was important because I'm just going to clone it. I'm not going to use the eye that I sketched because I feel like it's somewhat lacking in the same detail as the left eye. And so I sometimes just kind of have personal issues with that because, you see, I'm left-handed. I'm actually a left-handed sketch artist. And so I kind of feel like the details on the left side of the paper turn out better than the right ones. So let's see. Say flip this cloned eye a different direction and then move it. I think I'm on the right way. So that looks correct, but then I also want to scale it a little bit. And probably rotate it slightly so that it does look like the eye that is facing slightly away from the viewer. So let's go up a little bit like that. Alright. And so right now I'm debating making the eyes into just separate sections, because there's a possibility that I could do an animated GIF in order to animate those, but also I could also create blinking in a specific PNG tuber platform that I'm going to be working in. Anyway, so really means that this next layer that I'm going to have to make is probably going to have to be for the rest of the figure. So I would like to ever so slightly, increase the waves here. Because that's another Yu-Gi-Oh factor, is that, um, people have a tendency to have really big hair and very long, lengthy hair points. Lengthier hair points than you usually even see in anime. So I want to express that just using the hair tips that exist on my character. Okay, that works. And so, in the sketch, I drew his ear. And that's basically what his ear is going to look like in this one. Alright. So now, when I did this portion of the sketch, I was just thinking about the areas of characters' hair that kind of go in front of their face. And once again, this is a lot more common than in Yu-Gi-Oh! Than other kinds of anime. Alright. There's some details here, but I'm not going to put those details in yet. Alright. I'm going to figure out to see if I can add those in using color. And basically just see how that looks. Alright, so far so good. Let's work on the top of his hat. And so Dark Magician once again has his three-tiered hat. Yeah, I want that to be more of a wraparound. So there's a line out here with ends on either side, and then take it from the top and then have it wrap around. There we go. It's like just a very, very thin ring around the top of the hat. Take that and bring it all around. And then just draw the bottom sections. And so once again, there are stars here as well as the usual eye symbol that's on my hat. I'm probably going to fill those. I'm going to put those on top of the hat using a different color. There's some details that I drew here that I want to draw now, and then there's other details that I don't. And that's just the way it goes. So there. Alright. So just make the slightest opening for the top of the fluffy sleeve where the arm comes out. The fluffy sleeve where the arm comes out. Alright. So even in this particularly macho form, Brainy doesn't have any fingertips. So he's got the card that he's holding, and it is going to be tucked in between two of his fingers. Alright. So let's draw that card. Try to do if I can do slightly better rectangle shape than I did in the sketch. Alright. Make that look a little bit more pot-like. And so it might help that, you know, the third finger is tucked completely behind the card. That gives it a bit more of the effect that I want. Kaiba has these gauntlets that have like little circle rivets on them. I didn't bother to do them in the sketch because I really just thought I would draw them here, so it wouldn't be too hard. This might not even be, you know, the actual place where Kaiba has the rivets on his sleeves, but it's where I'm going to put it because it's my design. Alright. And so draw the arm straps. Try to give them a little bit more of a curve than when I was drawing the sketch. Let's see here. No, that's no good. Does anybody else just kind of have a problem that when you feel like you've made your first major mistake inking an image, that's when the autosave starts kicking in? Nobody? Just me? Okay. So I was having a bit of an issue trying to figure out the angle of this one. And so probably I just should have brought it up slightly higher. And alright. That's the arm. So I'm probably not going to start inking the dual disc because instead of making that all black, I just want to try to get as close to the colors that it actually is on the toy. And I'll work on that, you know, just slightly later. Alright. So I'm minding just the tiniest little gap right here because that's where the corner of the dual disc blade tends to cut into the front end of the body. Alright. Few clothing folds. Probably not as deep as the ones that I drew. As a matter of fact, there's a good chance I don't want to do these now. I want to make them in the color that I want to put them in the color that is going to be the slightly darker color for the robe. Alright. This seems a little bit too flat somehow. Let me see if I can just kind of create... Oops. See if I can just create a pleat. And probably not the way to create a pleat. What I would need to do. Try to get things relatively within the shape of the leg, where the legs are. Probably erase somewhere a little bit right here. So yeah, that looks a little better. That just gives it a little bit more depth than I had when I sketched it. Alright. And then his little feet. Look at the little feet. I want to try to probably approach that from both angles so that it's around her. Alright. A little more minimal than the way that I draw my feet in this avatar. But of course this works better for the art style. Okay, well while I'm down here, I'll do this corner of the tail. And so once again, going slightly deeper with the curves so that they'll even out a bit better. Alright. I gotta do the longer, curvier part of the tail. So once again, you know, minding the construction of the dual disc here. Alright. And also, well, I was thinking about adding the stripes in black, but maybe I don't want it to be in black. Maybe I want it to be brown like that usually is. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. Let me start working on the outline for this paw. And the dual disc that it's attached to. Once again, cat paw instead of a hand at the end of this. There's a part of me that often thinks, well, gee, you know, did I turn myself into a cat VTuber simply because I was nervous about drawing hands? It's a possibility. Once again, same details as the other arm. Alright. I'm gonna need to look up a dual disc so that I can get a reference for it. Toys, and I saw them all the time, but by the time Yu-Gi-Oh came out, I was already in, I was in my senior year of high school, and then I just kind of moved into college, you know, at just my freshman year of college. So, no, I wasn't going to go walking around with a great big plastic toy around my wrist. Alright. I need to get a slightly improved idea about what the structure of this thing is. So... let's see here. So I'm probably going to need to get the deep gray instead here. And so there is, yeah, deeper gray. Alright. Almost black, but not quite black. Alright. So there is just an area here. And then it overlaps right about here. And this is where the card dispenser is. I think that's actually where the graveyard is. And then the rest of this is a very deep red. Well, it's not a very deep red, but I want the outline to be a very deep red. Alright, so bring that way. Because one of those is supposed to be graveyard, one of those is supposed to be banishment. At least that's how I think it works. Alright, so, create that claw grip shape right there. And then, you know, the area surrounding that is very light blue, so I'm going to contrast that by using regular blue. And then everything from here to here is just gray. Like lighter gray. But since this is, once again, this is the outline, I'm going to use a gray that's darker than the gray that I'm potentially going to color in. Alright. And so there's a few other details. There's, you know, some lights on the right side of the panel, but I don't think that's really going to show here. I do need to complete the circle from here to here, and then on the other side. And then there's just a little clear white panel that goes over that, but you know, that's not really going to fit. There's a tab here, and then on top of that tab is a blue arrow. I should probably use the same color blue that I've already put down. Alright. So that detail is so itty bitty. I'm just going to go ahead and fill that one in. Alright. So then the rest of the gray outline is going to be for the area out on the outside of every single other detail of this dual disc. So let's see here. And theoretically, I could also just be using a straight line tool in order to be doing this. I don't know. I just kind of feel like in the end it'll go better with the picture if I don't. So then you have all these lines in between, and those lines are card pods, and they also have little ridges on the bottom that they just kind of look like cartridges, and that's actually where you insert the cards. And so I had to try to do a decent render of that. A very, very thin line that separates all of these. It's very likely that, I'm not going to be separating them as deeply as I was doing in the sketch, so I'm going to have to redo that. Alright. We do the whole line from here to here. That'll make things easier. Alright. Just keeping a close eye on the reference that I have, because it's really only going to get deeper from there. Alright. And so that's the basic shape of the dual disc, but it's also the fact that there's an additional blade on the outcropping of this that I'm probably going to need to draw. Oh geez, I accidentally changed pen types while I was doing this. Doesn't seem to make too much of a difference, but let me just go ahead and let me start to make my way back to the pen that I was using for the rest of this. See, the only thing that would really hurt me there is that if I were working with, like, if the other pen, like, just kind of had a built-in opacity, something like that. Okay. So let's take this point. There's a lot of details in this thing. More details than I think they need. But then again, I'm not a toy manufacturer. So, this kind of recedes. And amazingly, it does so without putting another ridge in the plastic. But this just kind of curves around. And then this area down here creates a series of slots for all the spell and trap cards. It goes all the way around, and then it turns another angle here. That's how that works. Okay. I think I'm beginning to see an issue here. Gotta think about how this lines up. Okay. And so when these slots move forward, you have to come out at a slight angle because of the perspective. And drop both sides of that. And so this area only has 2 card panels in it. And so here's where things get tricky, because this is where there is a gap between where the left and right corners of this folding dual disc go. So it basically goes like this. And so we create one angle here, that's where the separator is. We create the same thing on the other side. And so then this space in between is just gapped where the center line is, and that's where the whole toy splits into. And so that's basically how it's supposed to look, but now that I'm looking at it, I kind of feel as though, you know, maybe the angle for this is incorrect, because this needs to start to move in this direction right at the corner where the 2 areas join. And so once again, you know, this is not 100% what the toy looks like, but I'm going to draw it this way in my own drawing, simply because it makes a little bit more logical sense. Yeah, it makes more sense for my version. So I'm probably going to need to erase all the way to here, and then join these 2 corners. Alright. So I'm probably going to need to do the bottom half here, because this was at the wrong angle too. Just try to make everything, you know, work its way into that one corner. Alright. Get the corner angle right. Make sure that's there, so that when this joins here, that angle makes a bit more sense. And it does make a bit more sense, but I still need to draw it in the right place. Alright. So now we're back onto drawing card slots. And so there's going to be one right there. So it might make a bit more linear sense in order to draw them in the reverse direction on this side. And if those two end up looking better, then I'm going to go back to the other side, and I'm going to edit that. Alright. So I do think that does make a bit more sense, so I'm going to fix the squares here. And there you go. It's a little floppy, but that's basically how that's supposed to work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put the card slots in this area in a way that's going to be fitting. Maybe I'm just going to be limited in order to drawing them as straight lines on the bottom. Alright. Oops, did I accidentally create 4? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I did. I'm going to have to erase this last one. This last area right about here. So I think that line needs to go away too. And this corner. Okay, that looks alright. So that is pretty much what the ink is rendering is going to be. So now I've got 4 letters, I've got 4 layers, and I've got different ink renders in them. This one is the black outline. And then this area right here is just the dual disc, so this is the dual disc outline. And let's see, and this was, and then these are the right and left eyes. This is the right eye. And so we've got the right and left eyes separate because, you know, it's very likely that we are going to need to, we might animate those, so that we might going to need to put those on, leave those on separate layers. Okay, and this is the left eye. Alright. So, okay, this is going very good. This is going very good so far. So everything from here to here is part of the dual disc outline. So we're just going to have to... Well, first thing we should do, we should probably visit the right eye again, because I'm probably going to color that in, merge it, and then copy the eyeball again, so, you know, those two areas will be the same. So let's start coloring an eye. So, I mean, as you can see from my model, that my eyes are yellow. So I'm not going to use the same colors that I use for my other... I'm not going to use the same colors that I use for this model. I could just probably, you know, just I use the eyedropper tool to put them over. But I want this one to stand on its own, so I'm going to give it a different color. And then color in the white. And then, see, even on top of that, you know, I'm going to make a third layer. I'm going to start to move into darker colors so that I can fill in the eyeballs all anime style. And so I'm still using the same pen, which is the solid color perfect default standard pen. And that's because, you know, I do want this to look cel shaded, because I'm doing a Yu-Gi-Oh impersonation. And, you know, I want this to look as close to animated as I possibly can. Alright. So that is one rendered eye color. And as simple as all that is. Okay, so I'm going to merge all three of these layers. And then I am going to once again do my trick of copying it, flipping it horizontal, and then taking the horizontal one and re-angling it on the other side of the face so that the perspective looks correct. Alright. That looks good. And you're thinking, okay, well, all that for just one detail. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Somehow that destroyed my layers. This was the right eye. And this is the left eye. Alright. And so right now I'm debating with myself, do I want to start coloring large areas, or do I want to start working on a dual disc, because the dual disc is a much more minute detail in all of this. So I've made my decision. I'm going to start by coloring the dual disc. Alright, so this is the dual disc color. I should probably label it. As such disc flat color, because I'm going to be putting the higher res color. Well, I'm going to be putting the shading on a separate layer. We're allowed to do that simply because it is this is going to be cell shaded, and it's going to be shaded in solid colors. So the largest amount of this color scheme is it's like a robin's egg blue. Alright. I think that's as much blue as we're going to see, and then we're going to need a middle gray in order to start filling in this area here. And so I'm still using the same size brush that I use for the inks, just so that I can cover a good amount of the smaller area here. Alright. Well. So clearly I had a difficult time, just drawing the shallow inverted tray that's supposed to go here. I'm going to have to move this layer up. So that'll sit on top of the right there. And so for the red, we're just kind of using, it's a little bit deeper than primary color red. I could probably just get away with using primary color red. I don't think this is quite the color. I think this might be an orange red, but and once again, all the area on the inside is robin eggs blue, while the rest of it is going to be gray. So, okay, there's a bit of an incorrect line here. Let me rub that out with the eraser. Not have gone all the way around. Alright. That color. Copy the gray. Paint around that area. Okay, that works a bit better. Okay, so I believe I was in the middle of painting all this. And I was also in the middle of just raising my pen size. Not that large. That's like 54 points. It's way too much. Alright. You know, I didn't used to hand paint a lot since until I started working with a tablet, and I just started to do it all the time. It's a very satisfying feeling to me personally. Reminds me a lot of working with my regular number 2 pencils. And so, at a time when I was a slightly less professional artist, I used to use colored pencils. I say it like I'm making a dark confession. You know. Nowadays, I do tend to use art markers like other people who regularly frequent cons, but back in the day, I used to just like to color with colored pencils. That was something that was very personal and very satisfying to me. And I could have, and when you draw, you have a tendency to have a lot of if butterfly flapped its wings moments. You say, well, if I did this, and this, my career would have been much different. If I spent a lot of time disciplining myself to color entirely in colored pencils, then that would have made that I would have been able to get really good at it, and I would have been able to have a very distinct style. But I did move away from it after a while, and I started focusing on digital illustration and also Copic markers. All right. And now the rest of it is just going to go gray. Pardon me. Big ol' lung bubble right there. This doesn't seem to be the color. Maybe I just moved the needle down as I was having that coughing fit. Alright. Okay, and that covers a good amount of the land. I need to zoom in for the more shallow area. Just the area from here to here is completely and totally gray. I don't know if that's an issue with the American toy. I don't think it looked the exact same when I was looking at the reference for Seto Kaiba that I pulled up for this, but alright. So that's pretty much it, but you know, I believe it's just that this hand is also part of this render, so I'm going to need to start filling this one in too. And for that I'm going to need to go back to my reference. Alright, so let's see. Here we are. So, these gauntlets are silver. I don't see there being too much of a reason to change that. Let's start by painting in a flat color, which is a slightly darker gray than is what's on the actual dual disc. Alright. Well, then I need to do my own color hands, and this is where things get a little tricky because of really just what my fur color is. Like I said, I don't want to go back to my own reference colors, but I do want to still make something that is distinct for this image. I think a little bit lighter than that. Okay, I think that works. If I wanted to, I could put one of my brown stripes on the tip of the hand there, but I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if that would really add anything right there. Alright. And so that is all the flat colors for the dual disc area. So I'm looking over here, I feel like this doesn't seem to be colored neatly enough, so go in here and then do a little more detail work on that. The way they render the dual disc in the anime productions drawings it's pretty brilliant. Is that they have it out so that everything just kind of has a singular metallic sheen on it. I wonder if that's something I can replicate. That's going to be something I'm going to try to do. Alright. There's some details on it that really aren't details on the actual toy. I do see some thin streaks here. I wonder if it's part of the outline. It looks like it's part of the outline. I am erasing it. Oops. I flew a little too close to the sun. Well, simply that I got a little too close to the outline. And say, what is that? Alright. So ordinarily, I would copy the flat color layer and I would use that as the layer that I would attempt to put color onto. But I'm going to try something just a little different this time. I'm going to see if I can just add the shading to this layer. And that'll work out, and I believe that'll work out for me a little bit better in the long run because oops. Because then I will only have like one row of colors to potentially work with. And so there's a lot of areas to do here. And it's also the fact that if I want to try to see if I can make this look shiny like in the other image, I might have to develop my own whole render for that. I'll probably have to use another layer for it. So let's just focus on shading for now. I am going to need... Let's go to the outline. I am going to need my magic wand tool. So go like that. And then... create some vertical streaks, just like that. And, let's see. I do have this set to refer all layers right now. Alright. So this is already, I am developing into the, oh no, I'm making a mistake. By doing it that way, I'm erasing areas of the, yeah, I'm gonna need to do, it's Control V fast, Control Z fast. See, I'm accidentally putting it on the outline instead of the area that's supposed to be under the outline. It's supposed to be a bit more like that. Okay, but let me start out a bit shallower. There we go. And then highlight this one. Go back to the other layer. Alright. And same thing, go to the outline. The previous layer. And this is how it's rendered in the picture. There's just a lot of areas contrasted by very dark areas, but then I don't think they give you an awful lot of advice when it comes to coloring in the gray area. Let's try this. Let's go to the flat color outline, and let's highlight everything within that outline. Then go up to this layer, and then we can figure out where shadow is. Alright. I moved that. I should not have moved that. Alright, well, let's put that right back to where it was. Like I say, what, how does this make sense in terms of shading? So, first of all, I think that the shade I'm using is a little too dark. Okay, secondly, this whole area should be dark. This is the flat plane. And then it's probably going to be that I want this area to turn into specks. And then Try to see if it was stylistically sound to put another area there. I don't think it is. Then let's take some more of that. This kind of creates a bowl of shading right here. And then, oh, I did it again. I accidentally put that on the outline. Okay, well, I guess I'm leaving it there now. Then, let's just darken all of that. And so, you know, I was having a hard time trying to render the inverted nature of the tray that's supposed to go right here. And so I can probably just do this using the shading now. I can just create enough of the shading to show that this is somewhat bowl-shaped. I don't think this is quite working. So I might have to do it in the opposite direction. What I need to do is I need to get back the original color. And I need to put in the highlight. That's got an interesting flair to it. I'm probably going to leave it that way. Alright. Do I want to make any of the remaining gray? Am I going to want to give any of that a highlight? I mean, like, once again, am I going to try to do the shiny effect that the other one does? And it's really that is making itself look a little bit brighter than the rest of it. I just added that to the flat color. All bets are off at this point. This is going to be pretty messy. It's going to be pretty messy. Why are you coloring outside of the outline? Okay, let me do that. Maybe I didn't actually use the magic wand tool. Maybe that's what I did wrong. All right. Put the much brighter color on these corners so that they'll stand out a little bit more. Alright. see if I can get the flat color here. A little bit more of this white highlight here. That going on top of the outline, it should not be going on top of the outline. Go back to this layer. Okay. And so this was the detail I was most concerned about. Now it's actually coming together rather nicely. I want to take these corners and actually make them a little bit darker. There we go. So that's got plenty of that. That one looks mighty good now. Alright, so that takes care of the dual disc. Now we have to color everything else. Once again, applying flat colors. Probably the largest primary color I'm going to have to use is the blue for the robes and the hat. So let's take that. This is a much lighter color than I usually use, but I think it might be helpful in then applying the shading later. The shading will probably be more closer to what my actual blue color is. And that's gonna really make it pop. It's gonna give it a lot of pizzazz. Alright. And so speaking of my regular color, I'm going to go a shade darker. I'm going to do these ringlets. Pardon me. Alright. A little bit more like that. Alright. Okay, that looks good. Okay, once again, let's grab this color. Okay. Let's start filling things in. It's going to be a little sloppy for now. Take away the dual disc for now just so that I can see what areas are actually going to need color. So create an imaginary line here. And I can go a little bit bigger on the brush size right about now. Alright. Alright, let me see, move this down a little bit. Alright. So make sure, just go around here with the eraser, make sure nothing is bleeding too badly. Alright. Do I want the puffy black sleeves, or do I just want to color his arms the exact same color that I colored his hand when I did the dual disc outline? All right. Kind of made my decision, so let me see. I want to scale back the size on this a little bit. You've never seen me with stripes on my arms. It would make sense that I would have them. So what do I want these to be colored? Maybe I still want those to be colored deep gray like the ones on Kaiba, just to make for a good contrast. Alright. Let's color it in. Oh, this needs a little bit more in this direction. Alright. Need a little bit more of the arm in the corner too. That makes the majority of the outfit, so I'm just coloring everything else in at this point. I need to do the whole face too. Alright. Get really close up on that. Now to represent the cards, I'm going to have to color this a middle brown. I've always felt that Magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards had a very similar card back. Not enough so that you wouldn't be able to tell them apart, but definitely similar. And so we're going to go back and we're going to put a lot of excruciating detail on that card back later. There's a part of me that's tempted to actually just, I could Photoshop in a Yu-Gi-Oh card back, but I don't want the legal hassle. Alright. Time to color the face. Don't have to worry about the eyes for once because the eyes are on separate layers. Alright. I'll take that. Bring that down a little bit. That looks pretty good. Oh, you know, I do need to do the tail and the feet. Let's see. I thought I colored in the tail. I was clearly mistaken. There's a little bit of bleeding right here. Alright. Alright. Just a little bit there. Erase everything out of the corner. Alright. A little bit of bleed in that corner. Alright, fill in the feet. Alright. Okay. At some point I rotated the screen. Let me see if I can get it just right back to center. There we are. I'm not once typically used to rotating the screen. So there's everything flat colored. Let's disappear the dual disc again. And now let's start working on color details. So now, well, starting with the outfit, this is going to be probably where the largest amount of things are. And so I need that deeper royal blue that I had mentioned before. Let's zoom in on this. And so, some of the details that I was going to put in here before, probably going to need a slightly smaller brush for this. But once again, draw in those waist gutters that I was going to. That seems to be a pretty standard feature in Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters, both male and female. So I was going to go, so line there, lines where the cupping of the legs are. And then from that point forward, I'm going to have to use the same color. I'm going to have to use it for shading. So, probably want to up the brush size again. And then let's shade the area around this color. Everything down here. Probably everything around to this corner too. Just so that I can show the contrast between the beginning of the shoulder pad and the end of the shoulder pad. Let's put shading marks here, under the arms. Say, I'll just make this a wider, darkened area. Then so roughly about here. So around the insides of these. So it's probably just going to be this area needs to be a lot more filled. And it's probably going to need to nix the details on the legs so that this will sweep inward a bit more. So it's probably, yeah, and so I'm probably going to end up doing the same thing here, is that this here needs to move outward slightly. Put that everything right there to that way. No, that doesn't quite look right. I think I overdid it. Let's take it from slightly right about there. And then let's take this and let's follow this through so that it matches this area down here. So I'm gonna make this into an outcropping. Everything, all the details from here to here, and then go under the arms. So instead of doing this, I think I'm mostly going to end up covering this area, but I'm going to end up covering this area in a way that I use the lighter color blue as highlights. So, right around here. Everything from here to here. Something doesn't quite look as dimensional as it did before. Alright. Everything from here to here. Let's start going inward. And move to both of these corners. Okay, that looks a little better. It's less of a shading and more of a chest plate, but it still works. Hi, Mr. Brain. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a lot of gold and purple. I mean, if you're looking at the main character, so I've been using an image of Seto Kaiba for this whole project, and his outfit is rather white, and Joey Wheeler is primarily green. When I think about, possibly, looking at the card monsters, I feel this is quite it either. I'm dropping the layer again. I keep doing this. I keep destroying the layers. I'm also doing quite a bit of Dark Magician here, and Dark Magician has a lot of very deep contrasting blue in his design, including his skin color. Perhaps I'm overthinking this. Maybe I just need to provide the usual highlights. I do want to curve those shoulders though. I do like that, but I think that's just a bit too deep. Alright, so try to just kind of make that a single detail. Try to see if I can do that in one stroke. Okay, put that there. I mean, so here, the thing that I most have to figure out is how does the shading affect the pleats on the bottom of his robe. Try to connect that. That's almost there, but then I'm gonna wanna. Whoop. Have I been painting all this on the somewhere? I think I have. Well, now I have to Control Z it all. I almost had it. I just need to do the I just need to do the streaks. So let's see here. I think I'm getting an idea about how I want to render this. And so I keep doing this outline. I don't necessarily need to do this outline, but my ability to hatch mark the left side of this is a lot better than my ability to hatch mark the right side of this. Because I just as I had said earlier, you know, I have a left-sided bias. I have a left-sided bias, you know, because I'm left-handed. I don't know how many right-handed authors have a right-sided bias. So that's the thing, as it gets further down the road, things have to start getting a lot more darker. And so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm probably going to have to add another element to this. Is that when I did the black outline, I put a black line here, and but I did not make any other decisions when it came to any other potential darker lines. So I need to start making those decisions. Let me bring my pen all the way to the 7. You know, clearly this is where his stomach is supposed to be. And then both sides of his legs. And then the areas of the pants. These details work now because they are a darker color. Alright. So once again, let's bring the dual disc into this. Okay, I believe that mostly works. Okay, now I have to do the render on the hat. Alright, so and so, of course, you know, as usual, we're going to take the darker color, and then we're just going to create the logical shade marks on it. It does have like a nice little moon-shaped curvature to it. And then, you know, we're going to put the gold. That's always a part of my character design into it. You know, gold eye symbol. A few stars. Maybe I can get away with an inverted moon here. Alright. And there, that looks good for his hat. I'm going to have to make skin shading decisions. Start in the easiest possible place, which would be his feet. Alright. So, feet color. Usually when I go darker on myself, yeah, it's really just kind of a slightly deeper shade of brown. Alright. That's all I need to do for the feet. Just like create a sandal. Say tail tip shading. Change that one up. Oop, that went at the wrong angle. Let's do the arms. Probably wouldn't do that. And closer to the base of the elbow. Alright. Let's make it darker gray for the gauntlets. Okay, that works. Well, as far as this arm is concerned, alright. I'm giving it a little bit of that Yu-Gi-Oh quality where there's just kind of an outside border of color for all forms of hair. Alright. You know, I just realized I did not color in his nose. Let's see. There we are. We can go to this layer and then make a slightly deeper shade for that. Just like that. And now I need to make yet another layer, and I'm going to need to put in some details, like I need to put the brown streaks in his fur. Let's see. And usually, I just create a marking like that. Let's fine. What I need to do is I need to go back to the black outline. I need to refer only to the editing layer. And I need to come back here and I need to start putting the white of his beard in. So let's see, how are we going to do this? Usually, kind of a creamy, well, not like a creamy color, but it's a tan, but it's a much lighter tan than the rest of the tan. All right, and just put everything from here to here where it's supposed to go. I'm destroying a lot of the detail that is usually here, but I think it needs to go because it just needs to be replaced by what's really there. Alright. Now I need to get that brown again. Alright, well, my breast size has grown exponentially. This is not traveling all the way to the corners. Alright. I'm probably going to need to render this just a little bit more intricately. Yeah, I'm going to have to use much thinner lines. Using the thick, fluffy lines that I usually use before is a little bit detrimental to this particular design. This one's going to have to stay like way out here. Alright. That looks good. Okay. Get some black. Let's draw on the ringworm. Let's get the same color brown. And let's draw the ringlets in the hair. Oh, that's not highlighted. Just a very tiny amount of leopard spots that are usually on top of his head. And now let's do whiskers. 1 whisker, 2 whiskers, 3 whiskers. Oops. I hate that happened because I actually guided that line perfectly. Alright, and 4 whiskers. So I probably use another ringlet here. Alright. And so let's return some shading marks to the bottom half of this. So, that needs to go a little bit deeper color. And so need a much larger brush than that. I think that's too big. Alright. Yeah, that's interesting. I created a corner that stands on its own. Alright. And then, yeah, I'm actually going to have to do the interior of the beard again. Okay. That looks very good. And so I am going to need to take this color blue, and I am going to color in the tail. I need lots and lots of tail stripes. Let's see. Let's refer to the editing layer again. Alright. See, I wonder if these are going to need to be particularly bigger. I think so. Oh, I am coloring this in the outline. That's a mistake. Let's go back to the shading. Let's go back to the additional detail layer. And then let's also make this into transparent pixels. No, well, okay. No, then if I do that, I can color. Okay. Need to do this. Okay, there we go. Now this is working the way that it's supposed to. I don't know why it's bleeding on this side, but I think it might be because since I didn't fill in that area that was occupied by the fill disk, is that this left side, this left-hand side of the render is not properly protecting this area from the corners. Okay. Okay, that looks good for that. I'm just probably going to need to add one to this section here. Alright. So, I'm just going to want to put one bit of the tail. Alright. Okay. Let's fit this to screen. See how all the details look together. I think that looks good. I think that looks mighty good. Let me zoom in just slightly a bit for the convenience of everyone else. Let's see. I need... So there's probably just like one or two areas that are probably just going to need to be filled in by blankness. But other than that, I think everything works. I think everything came together very nicely. I can see just there's one major flaw right here. Let me see. This area here is responsible for the dark blue, and so what I need to do is take the pen and just fill this in so that this is a little bit more of the dimension that it needs to be. But other than that, I think it all works. So very good, very awesome render. And so I'm going to be forwarding this to Christopher Half so that he can be including it in some of the YouTube videos, track screens that he's been making before. And so I'm going to probably be sending him this. I'm probably going to just be sending him a copy of my usual render, so maybe he'll be able to fit that in somewhere else. But and then I'm also going to be taking this. I'm going to be working on making this into a. I'm going to be making this into a PNG tuber. Just have him open and close his mouth, and then just use him specifically for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Streams that we do on Wednesday night. So, this concludes our broadcast day. So, thank you everybody once again for tuning in to Brainy the RPG Cat. Thank you to Body77 for tuning in. And thank you to everybody else who's watching in the chat. You guys are fantastic. And so... I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to do a raid right now. So let me see, who can I possibly follow right now? I would like to go to okay, they might be fun. They might be fun as well. Let's see. Well, okay, so let's go over to Par Nelson. Right now, he's playing an indie game. It's called Racketeer and Item Shop's Tale. That should be interesting. So, first of all, let's do the shout-out. Shout-out Power Nelson.
No, Alaric, I'm not adding in your fucking chocolate.
So he does these very hilarious streams where, you know, he's with his friends inside of a diner, and they're always pretty funny. I probably shouldn't be talking over them.
Salutes and big ups to Snowy King. Hold on, I've been waiting.
Well, okay, anyway, let's go over to Raid Power Nelson. Alrighty, everybody. So, I am more than... Well, I'm going to be back Thursday night beginning at 9:30 p.m. and we are going to be doing that Yu-Gi-Oh group stream with the Great Half and also with everybody who is part of GreatMedia.Games. So be sure to tune in late at night on Wednesday, and we're going to play some cards together. But until then, this is Brainy the RPG Cat signing off. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for watching.
Salutes for Brainy the RPG Cat. How are you doing, Brainy? What were you doing? Did you have fun doing it? And if you didn't, why were you doing it? You were playing art? That game's sick! I see so many people playing it, it must be fucking awesome.